see this. Yo, 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 this is not the smartest guys in the room. I see my friend Tom Langan. Jimmy, Debbie's in the house. We got some people visiting us on all types of platforms. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're talking missed opportunities today, really. And we're talking to our friend Tom. Tom was looking very lean this morning when he got on camera. I'm like, shit, this guy's get it. He went and got himself in shape on us, guys. So check out what he's got going on. Tom, yeah, you're looking a little bit jacked. I feel inferior. I feel like a very inferior co-host with you now.
I'm just trying to get myself in racing shape. That's all. I'm actually, what's funny is I'm actually eating a little bit more than I usually do. Because one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be better about fueling before my workouts, which I've historically been really bad at. So I actually went old school and I printed out. So there's this company called Precision Fuel and Hydration that provides a ton of really, I mean, they sell, fuel and hydration products, but they also provide a ton of free to access resources for people who are in endurance athletics, right? And so I went to their website and they had an article that they had written that helps you understand how much you should be eating, in terms of grams of carbohydrates per hour based on the level of intensity of your exercise and how long you're doing it. So they have this this chart that they made up, and I actually printed it out. It was Becky's idea. I printed it out and stuck it on the fridge so that every time before I go do a workout, I reference that and I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm eating as much as I should be eating for each workout so that I can actually train better and get better, adaptations from that training. So I'm actually eating more, but I think I am kind of leaning out a little bit. And at the end of the day, it's not really about weight. It's about just not carrying excess weight on the course, right? So I'm just trying to lean down a little bit is probably a better way to put it. I'm not really trying to lose weight. I don't really care what the number on the scale is. It's more about body composition, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more lean. So I don't know. I guess it's working.
You're doing good. I'm noticing. I'm feeling it. I think all of us. Summer's coming. All of us probably want to lean down a little or thinking about that in some ways. So have at it, Tom. We got some friends here today. We're talking missed opportunities, Tom. That was me and Tom usually go back and forth a little bit. Sometimes we talk about him being lean, or we talk about other projects we got going on. In this case, we were talking about missed opportunities, building brands for other people. I think Tom that might be a way to put it. But Tom, where did you want to go specifically with it?
Yeah, I mean, this came up to me really because I was just thinking about this yesterday morning, actually, and it was one of those things. It was just kind of going back to basics, I guess, as it were, in terms of the kind of things or the things that I talk about. And I was in a networking meeting yesterday, and I talked about this idea that businesses spend a lot of money on advertising, right? And the goal of advertising is to generate awareness, create brand recognition, establish brand affinity, ultimately to move people closer to buying, right? Again, I always want to draw this line and make sure this distinction is very clear that advertising does not sell, marketing does not sell, right? The idea is that it moves people closer to the purchase, right? But it doesn't actually do the job of selling. And especially in a service business or for a higher ticket or a higher priced item, you can make all the advertising, do all the advertising you want. You can spend all the money you want on commercials. At the end of the day, it doesn't sell, right? There is always a human person who has to sort of intervene, especially with higher ticket items. And like perfect example of this is cars, right? I mean, we see car commercials all the time. How many times have you ever walked into an automotive showroom and just plunked down a bag of cash and said, "Give me that car," because you saw a commercial, right? Never. It's not how it works. So advertising doesn't sell. But anyway, the point that I was making is that a lot of brands and businesses spend a ton of money on this, but they do it all with like rented space, like rented platforms, rented access, and other people's audiences, right? So if you think of like the traditional television advertising model, and kind of similar to the advertising model, even the influencer model that we see now in social media, what businesses are doing is they're paying for access to someone else's audience. And I think the miss is that rather than, I'm not saying you shouldn't spend money on advertising, but rather than spending all of your money on trying to access someone else's audience, maybe you should allocate some of that money to building your own audience, right? To actually bringing people into your brand and creating an audience of fans around your brand or your business. And the perfect example for this is Procter and Gamble, and what they did that ultimately created the genre that we all know of as soap operas, right? And their work, starting all the way back in the 1930s, was they said, "Hey, we're spending money on advertising, we're renting the space. Why don't we just pay for the show and tie it to our brand and generate and get that audience to actually be our audience, right? Why don't we actually move away from renting that audience and actually sort of own that audience for ourselves?" And that's why soap operas are called soap operas, because Procter and Gamble, that were doing it through some of their soap brands, right? Their household cleaning product brands. Oxidol was the original one that sponsored the Ma Perkins show, that started on the radio in the 1930s, right? And that show was on the air for like over 30 years and ended up moving to TV later on. It finally went off in the 1960s. But my point is that like that model makes a ton of sense in today's environment because it is easier than ever to access an audience, right? Whether it's on your own platform on your website, whether it's on another platform like YouTube, you can create programming, create content that allows you to build an audience, and then you can own that audience. That audience is your audience rather than sort of renting access through your advertising spend. So I think it's a missed opportunity for a lot of businesses. If a business has the financial resources to be able to do something like this, I think it's a smart play to do it. But that's kind of what my thinking was, what came up to me. But yeah, I'll kick it back to you, Dom. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Tom, I actually love you bringing this up. And sometimes when you bring up the concept, I'm not exactly sure how you are framing it compared to how I frame it. So I'm partners with Julie Loken on the Creative Entrepreneur podcast. We have Creative Con together. And one of the things we've been thinking about is this concept of owning your ecosystem. So there's all these platforms, and people are so consumed with follower count on platform. Like, I need to have this many people on LinkedIn. I need to have this many people on Facebook. I need this many on Clubhouse. Hey guys, a few years ago, Clubhouse went down. Clubhouse changed the algorithm and things like that, and we lost half the people we were connected with overnight. And if you don't own your ecosystem, if you don't own your platforms, if you're not taking people off platform, getting them to your newsletter, Tom, you have a great newsletter. I see it on LinkedIn. It adds value. Sometimes you touch on topics we talk about here in more depth. Here's Tom taking us from Clubhouse into his newsletter somewhere else, and then I look for the next newsletter. So if I can take my people off platform and now go over to Motivation Champs. Come over to my website, Motivation Champs. Check out our content. Check out our videos. Check out the merch. Buy yourself some merch. Get a cool hat, but off platform, you've taken them from a piece of real estate that somebody else owns onto your own platform. Now you're in control. You're in control with emails. You're in control with how often you put out the content, and you own it. So, Tom, I love this conversation, and we can dig in all day long to it. Tom's just looking at Tom's look. Hey, you know what's great about this? When we update for everybody that ever listens to the show, because we're live and stuff like that, there are pauses and gaps and things like that. When we make it into a podcast, I push a button that takes out uh, like gaps in time, and I just go boop boop boop, and in like 10 seconds, any odd pause is out of it. So Tom, go on with your odd pause.
Well, I didn't know you were throwing back to me. You didn't say my name. You just kind of just stopped talking, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if you were pausing to like before you went
Uh,
to somebody else on club. I didn't know what was happening. I was
my
confused.
bad. A real power pause. Like I was speaking on stage, really drop. They say sometimes when you're speaking, like if people, all of us, if we're up on the stage, if we get lost, you're up on stage, you lose yourself for a moment, and in our head, we're panicking. But they say a lot of times the audience doesn't even know that they don't even realize what's going on because time is moving faster to us than it is to them. So they probably just think you're doing a cool power pause like Tom just thought to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're on stage, your audience doesn't know if you intend to pause at a particular place. So just make it seem intentional. Just kind of own the pause, right? And then you don't have to worry about people in the audience. And the other thing too is, you know, people. So I see this too. I mean, we're totally off on a tangent now, but uh, I see this happen all the time, right? Is somebody will who doesn't have a ton of experience speaking on stage will make a mistake, and rather than pushing through, will kind of like uh will like highlight it for the audience, and it's like, hey, the audience had no idea that you made a mistake. They didn't know what you were supposed to say next. Like they didn't know that you had a what you thought was a great sentence structure there, but that you flubbed it because you said the wrong word where you meant to say something else. Like they don't know that. They don't know your speech the way you know your speech. So the best thing you can do 100% in those instances is just power through, right? Just like keep moving forward and do not admit any mistakes like that, because yeah, at the end of the day, the audience has no idea. They have no clue that you made a mistake.
Brilliant. We are brilliant guys. This is not the smartest guys in the room. Holly, what's going on today? We're talking about missed opportunity. We're talking about building your community, owning your ecosystem. So, Holly, now that you're starting to have a podcast, you're about to launch, uh, what do you think about owning your uh, ecosystem?
I think Holly put in the chat that she had to step away for a minute. I
Yeah,
just saw
I
it.
see the
So,
odd pauses. Odd pauses. We're good at the
so
Jason.
she may not be there. She may not be back yet.
Okay, let's go. Jason B with a number one badge. This is cool. Jason looks good in a suit here from his picture. Uh, nice profile picture here. Jason, owning your network. What do you think about it?
I don't know about owning a network. I mean, it's just something that it seems tangible, but it's very fluid. I'm thinking about the primary title of your room, Missed Opportunities and Building Community. Like, what is your relationship to a community? What is your relationship from your work to your community? And, I want to touch just a little bit on what Tom was saying. He's like, nothing that you see is just like, it's not going to sell itself. Well, I beg to differ a little bit. I don't quite see it that way because if you look at the latest sales trends right now, latest sales trends are based on impulsive buys of what people see, and they're filmed by testimonials or examples, like, for example, on TikTok. You guys are on TikTok. A lot of people are selling their products, and there are a lot of impulsive buys without checking to see if the product works or the association or the book or the program. People are buying in droves. When it comes to marketing, does sell. A salesperson is a marketer. How you pitch, how you relate, and that also relates to community. If a salesman doesn't connect with the relationship of a product, service, thing, idea, and concept of conversation, how is the consumer going to really relate to the product, whether it works or not? How many products do you buy that have failed in a short period of span, and how much lasts where you don't have to keep buying? Well, the current sales world and commerce is not based on quality, it's based on frequency of convenience. And that relies on a lot of visual and stimulating impulsive buying. And that does sell as a market. That does move people, because if you don't realize that, and what you just talked about, Dominic, just a moment ago, about you and Julie creating a program, you guys have an imprint on what an entrepreneur and podcasting, what it can do based on what people hear, also what they can see, because people don't trust just what they can read anymore. They don't go to each other, hey, have you tried this product? Never heard of it, you know? But there are countless products that are based on impulsive buys. So building a community is important with a precision of purpose and its service. So I'll stop there and I'll end there.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right that a lot of people make impulsive buys. I mean, I've made impulsive buys myself, but always for low price point items, right? I mean, impulse buys tend to be inexpensive things that we don't really rely on for anything specific, or like to fill a need. It's more of like a want, or a desire, or a convenience that we don't really need. Those are often the sort of impulse buy things that we'll click on and buy quickly, and often they're pretty cheap. The stakes are low. If it doesn't work, or if it isn't quite as good as we hoped it would be, it's not a big deal, right? I was specifically, and it's why I used the car example. I was talking of like higher ticket priced items. The other thing I would say too is at the end of the day, I don't think a salesperson is a marketer. I think a salesman is a salesman, right? A salesman has a job. Their job is to close deals, right? Their job is to sell the product or the service, whatever the commodity is that they're tasked with selling. Their job is to sell it, right? Now, a company will also have a marketing plan, a marketing strategy, a marketing department that is independent of the sales department. They work together, but they're two separate departments. They serve two different functions, right? The marketing department's job is to drive traffic and build leads for the salespeople to actually close deals with, right? And so that's kind of where I'm drawing that line, is that like one is for sort of generating interest, right? That's where advertising and marketing comes in, is right. It's about generating that interest, creating those leads so that the sales team or the salesman can actually close those leads and get those deals on the books. But yeah, I mean, I was really talking about, higher ticket, big spends, big purchases, items, rather than sort of, small, impulse buy, goods. And I was really, kind of like, yeah, not talking like sort of consumer goods. I'm thinking of things more in the kind of service industry, or like larger scale goods, where you'd be talking about like a once every few years, or once every decade kind of purchase, right? Not the kind of thing that you're spending money on every month. So anyway, so that's I just wanted to clarify my thinking there. What do you think, Dom? We're a little over 20 minutes in to the show. Are you itching? Are you itching to get to something? I feel like,
yeah, I'm itching. I wanted to weigh in on that first, just from a sales and marketing. So I sold Yellow Page ads. I sold business insurance. I sold pharmaceuticals. Never once did they ask me to do marketing. They asked me to get so many sales a week, or a quarter, or a month, or I got fired, or I got put on a plan. There was no in between. There was no, hey, Dom, do some marketing while you're out there. If I was handing out things, or if you want to deem it marketing, it was all in the process of me getting a sale in a certain amount of time, closing that deal. Bottom line, in Yellow Pages, they had to cut me a check, and pharmaceuticals, the doctor had to write the prescription, and insurance, they had to bind whatever we bound at that point, and that was it. There was, if I spent too much time other than getting those signatures and those checks, I was out of there. And I didn't have a lot of time, and that's how it was. And so, Tom, you set me up, but I was feisty about that. So it is that time of day. Maria, Holly, we're coming. Anybody else that wants to come on up, jump up here, write our comments before we get to Tom's thumbs. Jimmy in the comments said earlier that Tom was he agreed that Tom was looking lean, but he said that Tom would also look better with a tan. I don't know about that, but thank you, Jimmy. Uh, so for Tom's thumbs today, Tom, you give us a thumbs up or thumbs down like only you can do, because you always have an opinion and you're not afraid to share it. So I'm watching a video, I'm watching the news, and I see a car jump up on the sidewalk and chase a kid on a dirt bike down the road, down the street. So I want to know from Tom, thumbs up or thumbs down to this kid's dirt bike riding abilities.
All right, so I have a quick question because I haven't seen this. So I want to know what are we talking about? Like you say a dirt bike, like a motorized dirt bike, like a motocross bike. Like I want to know. I don't know what kind of bike we're talking about.
Oh, you got to see it, man. You almost got to go on. You almost got to go right now and look at it. So there's in Washington, a kid's on this little dirt bike. I don't think it's like a real. I don't even know if you consider he's like a teenager. So the bike's not that big. All of a sudden, a lady on the road pulls up and like starts talking to him, turning her car, and then she just goes down the sidewalk, and like she's going after him on the sidewalk in a car, and this kid's just like zooming like some old school like video game like that everybody would dream of, like running from people. But he gets out of it, and and there's neighbors filming and stuff like that. So it was masterful, Tom. So that's what I wanted to know about.
I mean, so here's the thing. I think in the situation that you've described, as you've described it, I'm assuming you're talking about like he's maybe not on like a 250 or something, but he's on like a small like motorized dirt bike, right? And so a couple of things, right? I think like number one, he is not sort of like in the right here in terms of he should not be riding a non-street legal vehicle on the street, right? So like just we'll put that out there. He shouldn't be doing that to begin with. But the punishment for riding a non-licensed motorized vehicle on the street is not being run down by a car, right? Like the punishment is a ticket, right? It is a fine. It is probably not even a misdemeanor. It probably doesn't even rise to the level of a misdemeanor. It's probably a simple like traffic citation. And so I think at the end of the day, I give kudos to him for his bike handling skills, getting away from there. And she gets a huge thumbs down from me for trying to run him down. And I will say this because like as we all know, I'm a cyclist, right? I'm a triathlete. I spend a lot of time on bikes on the road. I was actually on my bike this morning before we got on the show here, and was out on the road just getting a quick ride in before the show. And I have a lot of drivers. I'm very courteous. I always stay to the right. I try to get over as far as I can when I know there's a car behind me. I even have a taillight on my bike that has radar built into it, so I know when there's a car behind me and I can get over. I only kind of take the lane when it's safer for me to do that, when that's the safest option, rather than trying to let a car pass. I am a courteous cyclist, right? Most cars that pass me give me plenty of room, right? Are fine, are nice people, right? Sometimes, and it almost like happens every time I'm out riding, somebody will buzz past me really close. And a lot of times it is like they will also like honk at me. If their windows are down, you'll hear them yelling at me. Like I'll hear them yelling at me. And here's the thing that those people don't ever think about. Number one, I'm a guy on a bicycle with a helmet on, right? Like, and that's it. And they're in a several thousand-pound vehicle, right? And they are buzzing me. So they are threatening me, right? And threatening my life because they're slightly annoyed that they might be 2.5 seconds later to wherever they're going, because they had to wait to pass me for a second, right? And so I have zero tolerance for people like that. I have zero tolerance for people that threaten people and threaten their lives and endanger their well-being simply because they're mildly inconvenienced at worst, right? Like that's the worst case scenario, that you are mildly inconvenienced, right? The reality is that in most cases it makes absolutely no difference for you in your day whether or not you're going to be on time where you're going. It makes no difference to you. So like you are endangering my well-being, right? Because you are impatient. And so for everybody that does anything like that, and I'm going to include this crazy lady who drove down the sidewalk and tried to run this guy down because she didn't think he should be on the road with his dirt bike. All of those folks, including this woman, get a huge thumbs down from me.
Exactly, Tom. Well done all around. And to anybody, we've talked about this in here. Sometimes I get mad when people cut in front of me in line. Tom, when I'm on my bike and people buzz me on my bike, that is a day. Please mess with me that day. Like I'm the calmest, I'm the nicest person. When you buzz me on my bike and yell something out the window, I'm like, please, this is the day I want you to stop. Stop and stop and say more to me about how dumb I am on my bike, because I am ready to beat the side of your car, kick your windows in, and I'm just waiting for that person who thinks I'm the idiot to come out. So serenity now, Tom. Serenity now. Go on.
Here's a quick little tip, because I absolutely yell at people when they buzz me. And like if their windows are down or not, I don't care, right? I will curse them out. I will lay into them. I will call them horrible things, right? Because they've just put my life in danger because they couldn't be bothered to just give me a little bit more room on the road, right? And they're idiots for doing that. And I will call them out on that 100% of the time. The thing I always have running in the back of my head, and I'm going to share this. I know Jason commented, he's a cyclist also. He gets frustrated with this too. I'll just throw this out for anybody listening, for you, Dom, for you, Jason, just something to remember. If somebody does stop, right? Because like I know people who like have had somebody stop and had them get out of their car and had them actually take a swing, right, at them. Like I know people that's happened to, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to me at some point, or anybody else who isn't afraid to kind of speak up and stand your ground when it comes to actually being safe on the road. Something to always remember: you have a helmet on, right? So if they take a swing, all you got to do is tuck your chin, right? Just let them hit your helmet as hard as they want to. It will do way more damage to their hand than it'll do to your head or the helmet itself, right? So like all you got to do is chin down, let them hit the helmet, right? And that's it. Like it's going to be over. The fight's over at that point, because like worst case, they broke their hand, right? Best case, they've hurt their hand. Um, and yeah, I mean, like, so I just, if things come to that point, obviously, like, I don't want that to happen, but I just always have that in the back of my head. If some knucklehead stops and they decide they want to take a swing at me, I'm just going to tuck my chin and let them hit my helmet, and that'll probably be the end of the fight right there. It's probably not going anywhere after that, because they're going to swing with their dominant hand, they're going to hit my helmet, and they're going to hurt their dominant hand, and then that's it. They're not throwing another punch. It's all done.
All right, Tom's fighting tips on a bike. That was Tom's thumbs. We got intense today because we went from that kid cycling a bike to me and Tom's safety on the road. So you can see we're passionate about that, Jason, too. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We appreciate everybody stopping by. We're talking about building your community today, not borrowing somebody else's. Julie, we called it owning your ecosystem earlier, but building your community. Holly, we haven't heard from you. So, Holly, with the podcast, how are you not instead of borrowing somebody else's community, what are you doing with your podcast?
Hey, good morning. Wow. Okay. I I am deep into marketing my podcast and my writing coaching at this point. I don't know that I'm borrowing from someone else's community, but I'm in communities and I am marketing in those communities. So I don't know if that'd be considered borrowing or not, Dom. Um, I have not done advertising, and to me, I could be wrong, and y'all might straighten me out on this, but marketing is putting yourself out there, your goods, your services, so that people are aware. But then advertising is when you like pay a fee to have it like on a billboard, or to me, advertising is paid and marketing is awareness. And so I have not stepped into the advertising part, but I am trying to market. And I don't know, that's interesting that you say borrowing from other communities, because I probably am. I'm in different communities and uh, putting myself out there, but I'm also out there on my own. So I feel like I'm talking in a huge circle. Help.
No, you're good, Holly. And I'm going to go to Tom on this because I don't think that Tom ever said it was bad to borrow from somebody else's community. Like, if you're a cyclist and you wrote a book about cycling, jumping into a cyclist community and talking about your passion would make sense. I do a show called Bikes and Hikes, and our last video was in the town of Connellsville, where we looked at murals in Connellsville. They got all these murals drawn. So I put it in a Connellsville group this morning so the people of Connellsville could see the murals in their own community. I don't think that I am borrowing in a sense, but I don't live in their community permanently. Meaning I'm not there every day. It's not on their platform 24/7. So Tom, weigh in on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to I mean, yeah, like, you have to introduce yourself to audiences somewhere, right? Somehow, right? They don't just kind of materialize out of nothing. And a good way to get people to raise awareness about what you're doing, who you are, what you stand for, why people should care about what you have going on, is to introduce yourself through other communities. But I think uh, like, the point that I was trying to make is, at some point you shouldn't only rely on sort of rented space in other people's, like, in front of other people's audiences, right? Like, introduce yourself to other people's audiences, but build your own audience, right? Use networking, right, and connections and opportunities to get in front of other people's audiences to help grow your audience, but also make sure you grow an audience of your own, right? At some point you have to create, I think it's a missed opportunity to not bring an audience over to you, like, even if it's not a very big audience. And that's the other thing that people get so caught up in, with this idea of, like, follower counts, right? And views on their content on social media. I mean, if you do the math, right, very simply, like it's super easy to extrapolate, but if you do some very basic math, figure out how many customers your business can handle, right? What your conversion rate is, right? What your sales rate is, what your close rate is, you know, then extrapolate out from that what your conversion rate is from like cold to warm leads. Then of those warm leads, how many of them end up becoming customers or clients? You can extrapolate out exactly how big an audience you kind of should be looking to grow. And I would guess for most businesses, depending on how many clients your business can actually sustain, you're probably talking in the low thousands for an audience, right? Like, depending on how big your business is and what your conversion rate is and what your close rate is, you're probably talking like, you know, 2 to 5,000 tops, right? So like you think about that for a second and it's like, oh, actually, like I don't need that big an audience. I don't need millions of followers or tens of thousands of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't need, that many views, right? I just need to deliver the right content for the audience I want to generate, and then build that audience with that using that content, so that I can actually convert from them. But yeah, I mean, I think people get so caught up in like trying to get these big numbers, and it's like, hey, your business can only sustain like 30 customers at a time. Like, what are you doing? Like, you only need like 1,000 people. You only need to reach like 1,000 people that fit your sort of ideal profile, right, to be able to sustain your business, or to max out your business, actually, right? So like, stop trying to reach, get 1 million views on TikTok or whatever. Like, you're wasting your time. It doesn't benefit you at all, because I'd rather be in front of 1,000 of the right people than 1 million of the wrong people. So yeah, so I think people get caught up in that stuff all the time, and you're better off just trying to grow an audience and bring it over, even if it's kind of small. What do you think, Dom?
Tom, I think that was spectacular. Well done. And Rocky down there says, yes, I love big brains. That's me enthusiastically reading that. So you're getting all kinds of comments there. Maria, I saw you giving some hearts or whatever to Tom. So, and you said needed to hear this today. So Maria, go on and let us hear your thoughts.
Well, finding the mic. Thanks, Dominic. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate this space and the moment to share. My name's Maria. I have for a tiny bit of context, I have a master's in leadership, and sometimes I think to myself, "Oh, it's so nice to like listen to what this right here. This is perfect." Going and piggybacking off what Tom was just saying, and as an example, I spent a lot of time in the past 2 years plugging into sort of online marketing, feminine marketing, and I heard somebody say something about impulse buying, and I actually did the impulse buy for a big ticket item after spending some time listening to this woman for long enough, but joined a community. We were spending $1,600 a month to learn from each other, from her. But the thing is that you get up in the community, you get 5 minutes of hot seat call with the guru, if you will, and then but you also know that everybody else in and around you has something to give, something to share, something I could be referable. There was just a lot of missed opportunities in that space. I've never invested before at high level or been in a mastermind before. So for me, it was a phenomenon to see a lot of these women coming in and feeling unworthy, or feeling like they didn't have anything to offer to take up space, and also, so you need to do that in order to be referable. It was my understanding, right? Word of mouth only works if you are able to stand up and be seen and share about what you do, in the ways that we were learning, right? We're learning about launching our products into the world, our offers, our coaching. There's a lot of coaches and stuff. So what I decided to do was exactly what you're talking about, when they transitioned that group from Telegram over to Facebook, and I was loving Telegram because of the way it's like Clubhouse. I was like, oh my gosh, all my connections are gone. Like I can't connect with the people in that group the way I did on Telegram. So I decided, okay, I'm 6 months into the program. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start inviting people into my own space and make my own community. However, like Tom just said, you can only do that for so long. You can only do that for so long before you find yourself with a bunch of people who aren't really your community or your ideal client, or they're your peers. And peers are just as much buyers as anybody else. However, they are peers that were meant for that person's niche. And so, though I stand differently. I have different values. I have a different message. And so I found myself having to backtrack, and that doesn't feel really that great. So the Worth Room is what I built there. And I would host people for a full week. Instead of having building a podcast, I was like, we need to get to know each other beyond an hour, beyond a coffee chat. I need to know you, your story, what you do for work in order to be able to refer you. And it would be nice if you could do that in front of everybody. So I started monetizing via featuring people in a group on Telegram, and called the Worth Room, where we're all worthy of telling our story. We're all worthy of being here and standing up and hearing about each other in our entrepreneurial ventures and journey, so on and so forth. So I am here now on Clubhouse 4 years later. I've been on Clubhouse for a while, but 4 years later thinking, this exact concept that I'm doing here, this missed opportunity that so many mastermind leaders and so many community leaders are missing. I call it the fountain instead of a funnel. You walk in, you hear the conversation, you gladly toss a coin in to be featured at the top. And I'm bringing it over here. And so I'm just proud to hear that, because Tom just said, like, if you have to move and there's only a few of you that go, then that's fine. I've got 250 people on Telegram. And if some come over here, great. But otherwise, I know it's best for my business for the bottom container call of the fountain to be bigger, like Clubhouse offers open rooms. So thank you for this moment. And thanks for talking about this. There's so many missed opportunities in networking. And in my brand as Maria the Leader, I really believe that we're all worthy of making our network our net worth.
Maria, thank you very much. We're glad you're here. We're here every Wednesday, so stop by, share some good insights with us. And there is a point, like, I find it offensive as like somebody that hosts big groups and builds groups and communities. I want you to share in my community. I want you to let me know what you got going on. I want you to let my group know when you have something that relates to what we have going on. If my group is Motivation Champs, if you have something motivational to share, share it every once in a while, because that's what the group is. It's a full 24/7 exchange content that uplifts, inspires. All of a sudden, when people start pushing it to something they're selling or their business is doing XYZ, well, I can look at this post 50 different ways and I don't see how your business doing whatever is inspiring. So now I think you are abusing my platform. And that makes me mad. And so at that point, you can come on, you can say hi, you can do this. But when you start taking advantage of people's platforms and thinking that all their followers are going to come to you because you posted one thing on it. And I know you're not doing that. I'm saying people do it all the time. It's so stinking annoying. So it makes me mad. Okay, Jason, quick, and then we're going to PSA. So Jason, you got 30 seconds because Tom's
It's
getting
going to be
loaded up
less
and
than
ready.
that.
Go
It's
on.
going to be less than that. My quick pitch is, Maria, I have a great connection with you because you're a homeschooling parent. When I read your profile, and your business is related to me, and business and networks are based on intersections. I got attracted to your profile because you put the homeschool in there. Entrepreneur is nothing in my interest, but you get me as a parent who's like, if you ever try to look in information about homeschooling, there's a lot out there, but it's all confusing. But to the parent who feels lost, who has an autistic kid, and how you get your kid into a system that doesn't serve them, I'm all interested in a personal story relationship that Maria just laid out. So that right there is a pitch and a hook to get somebody in.
Good point, Jason. Personal story. Well said. Okay, let's see here. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're talking missed opportunities. We're talking building community, not borrowing, owning your ecosystem, all that. But it's time for PSA. Tom, what is your PSA for today?
All right, give me a second here. I'm just getting the clock up and getting ready to go. All right. Here we go. So in the news, I don't know if you've heard, I know you've heard about this, Dom. I don't know who else has. There's a cruise ship with an outbreak of the hantavirus going around, which is real bad. I mean, to be clear, really bad. Several people have died. It is not funny. It is awful, right? But and yet another reason why you won't catch me on a cruise. My wife said this is exactly, this is just another reason to add on to why I will never go on a cruise, right? She's not interested in being in a floating mall with a bunch of strangers. But I know you're going on a cruise soon, Dom. And so I wanted to just suggest a couple of things to keep yourself safe while you're on the cruise. So make sure you wash your hands frequently, bring hand sanitizer with you, bring some sanitizing wipes and wipe down your cabin when you get there. And when you're on the boat, take the stairs whenever you can instead of the elevator so you're not trapped in a confined space with people who might be sick. So just some PSAs for you, Dom, about keeping yourself healthy while you're on a cruise.
Thank you, Thomas. I hate a dirty elevator. I hate an elevator anywhere. And the more people on the elevator, the more freaked out I get. So, all right, Tom, set me up for a PSA. I'm going on. Let's see here. In honor, I'm seeing a clock coming. A clock. 3, 2, 1. It's got to be a clock. Yeah, I see it. In honor of Mother's Day being upon us, I want to tell everybody to call mom, get mom a present, think about mom. If your mom isn't with you any longer, be grateful of all the beautiful things that your mother was. If you had issues with your mom, she tried the best and she did the best she can based on her abilities at that time. So this weekend and going forward, I just want you to actually love them the best you can be. Uh, I lost my mom to Alzheimer's after a 10-year battle. One of the things that I was able to do during her sickness, and I wish I would have done it earlier, I was able to say everything I wanted to say to my mom during that time because we sat around for years. And I could talk to her. So, with mom, love her to death, and say everything you've ever wanted to say to mom while she is still there. Thank you.
Good stuff, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah, I actually, Becky's away during Mother's Day. She and Isla are out visiting Becky's family out on the West Coast for the next couple of weeks. So she's away. So I got her. Becky's a very practical person, right? So she's not a big like flowers girl. She's not a big jewelry girl, right? But she really wanted. I had this pair of like ripstop, sort of like drawstring waistbanded pants that are super comfortable, super convenient, easy to throw on. And she really was kind of jealous of them and said at one point offhandedly, I really wish I had a pair of pants like those. And so I went and found some pants like them online and ordered them for her and got them for her before her trip so that she could take them with her and actually use them on her trip. So I got her a little, like an early Mother's Day present. Just something small, not a big deal. We don't make big deals out of stuff around, in our family, but she appreciated it and took those pants with her on her trip out west. So anyway, but I agree, and I'll call my mom's up at my parents' lake house for the season already. So I'll call her on Mother's Day and then I'll see her on Memorial Day weekend when we go up there. So anyway, but I think that was a good PSA. I appreciate it. I think
and I appreciate you keeping me healthy on my cruise. I will wash hands more. I will sanitize and such. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, Julie, I coined you earlier for this. Me and you had talked about this, and we came up with the term owning your ecosystem. So, would you just give us a little? We're going to move quicker here, but what does owning ecosystem mean to you?
Thanks, Dom. I have 10 seconds. Here you go. Well, everybody's planting themselves on borrowed land, meaning social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You don't own anything there. Guess what? The minute you put it on there, it's theirs. They own it. Start owning your own ecosystem. Start the email lists, the websites, the podcasts, the books, the things that matter. Build communities outside the places where you don't own anything. Be an entrepreneur of substance and own that space. Thank you.
Julie, I believe in the power of storytelling, and sometimes, like, you could take a picture of something and it's powerful. You could be on podcast, you could write a book. What you just did in 20 seconds there was fantastic. So well done. All right, we are cruising along. Dr. Tachi.
And that woman on the sidewalk, she's nuts, by the way. And how do you know it wasn't his mother chasing him? Like, seriously. Okay, that's all.
Well, we watched the video. Maybe it was his mom. If it was his mom chasing him and he did something bad, my mom probably would have chased me like that down the road. So go on, Tom.
I mean, I feel like, again, I haven't seen the video yet, but I feel like that's worse. Like, that's not an excuse. Like, if it's his mom trying to run him down with her car on the sidewalk, like, what are you doing?
That's so funny, though. It's hilarious.
I just gave like a 60-second PSA about like being nice to mom and things like that. I guarantee if I would have talked back to my mom, she probably would have got in the car and drove after me like that.
That woman wasn't his mom.
This could be a full circle conversation if it was his mom.
Yeah, we know it's not his mom. We're just kidding around here. Okay, so Dr. Tachi, owning your ecosystem. What do you got for us? Dr. Tachi's got shows and she loves her community. I love watching Dr. Tachi talk to her community. She's so vibrant and fun. So what do you got for us? Good morning, Dr. Tachi.
Good morning, everyone. I agree with what everyone said. Of course, no surprise there. I think in terms of going back to the point of borrowing an audience versus building, I don't know if that was the original thing, but I'll talk about that briefly. I think it's great to borrow, but eventually you reach a saturation point with that borrowed audience, because they were there for that one specific thing that you did on that one specific channel or whatever the case is. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot make community members out of them. I've done that before, but by and large, whenever I've gone on somebody else's platform, yeah, I get some people who follow me, but it's not everybody. So I think the fact of expecting exponential growth because you go on XYZ, that's not always the case. Sometimes it can be the case, but often it's not. And those people weren't necessarily checking for you anyway. Some of them may see the value in what you have and continue on the path with you, but some of the others are like, I'm just here for the cake, right? And they take the cake and then they run. So I think it is unrealistic to expect that a borrowed audience is going to be your most engaged audience. Some of them can be, but some of them won't be. I think it's great to actually work on building your own audience, because then you know those people are there because they want to be there, not as a sideshow consolation prize. And again, this is nothing against borrowing an audience. I'm for it because it can be a way to build. But that, as you all were saying, that should not be your end all and be all in terms of building a following, building a community. And that's what I have for you today.
Good stuff, Dr. Tachi. We appreciate everybody that comes through here. So thank you very much. Loving all the comments today. You know, it is easier when you guys put comments in and stuff like that, then we can just steal your thunder and talk about that as well. So good job. Thank you. Rocky, on the subject, what do you got real quick for us?
Yeah, really quick. And I actually have a question as well. If you can't answer, that's completely fine. Love the topic. Love you guys. The one thing that I learned about borrowed audiences is they typically don't leave their community. So if your expectation is for them to follow you along where you go, no, it is literally a temporary high, a temporary virality. And that's where a lot of the issues are, right? Unless you're collaborating with somebody or doing something that's opposite. So say, for example, I have an author that I want to work with, and I'm with the author, but she needs marketing help. And my marketing people people need or want to become authors. Collaborations like that typically work because that's not that person's expertise. So I tend to borrow audiences that we mesh together well, and that way we can build some good reciprocity there. If you have time for a question, great. If not, I'll just shut up.
Make it quick. What do you got, Rocky? Go.
Yeah, how do you protect your community? Because I grow communities fast. I have a huge community here, but that collaboration piece is not really a collaboration at times,
Let's
so
go. I like this question. I'm in. I mute, I snooze, I for like if we're talking on Facebook, I mute, I snooze, I put on post approvals. I'm watching the content they're putting out. It is a zero tolerance. For me, it's a zero tolerance. Hey, thanks. It's inspiration, positivity, smiles, sharing inspiration. If it's not that, if I can't stretch it to that, if somebody else contacts me, I'm really weighing in on it. I got some other moderators that help me. Sometimes I need a little love too. My buddy Jim Ajay, he's called me before and said, Dom, I don't think this is inspirational. I looked at it again and said, yeah, you're probably right. So that's it. Protect with an iron fist. Tom, okay, we got a cruise. What do you got? Is it time for memory lane?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's about time you took us for a little walk down memory
Okay,
lane. What do you got for
I'm
us this
going
week?
quick today. See, I'm rolling quick. So here it is. My memory lane today. I have a son that's in college. I have a daughter that just went to prom. I remember when they were little and I was going to show something from my office that they gave me today. Like time flies so fast. And what I want to say to parents and stuff like that, I tried my best. I tried my best. If you make decisions with your kid's best interest in mind, out of love and what you know at that time, that's all you can do. And it's not always easy. We make mistakes. I have made mistakes, Tom. Look, I have made mistakes. We will. Their best interest, out of love, what you know now. Things will be all right. It'll all work out. So keep your head up. I keep my head up, and it seems like today is better than yesterday. So thanks, Tom.
Is there a specific memory that kind of brought that up or got you thinking about that today? Or
thank you. I think because my daughter just went to the prom and Facebook and my daughter went to the prom. My son's back from college. He's helping me with all these things. Like they're both so well rounded. They have both became great individuals, and I get that it's tough and it wasn't always easy. So that's what's got me. I think how far they've come, and I see my daughter at the prom, and then lacrosse season's about to wrap up, and I see all the years of hard work and stuff like that, and she's having better results. So it's just a matter of the evolution of being a dad, Tom.
Gotcha. I like that. I mean, yeah, 100%. I'm going to make mistakes. Probably already have. I'm sure I already have. If I think about it, I'm sure I could find a couple pretty quickly. But you make mistakes as a parent. But I 100%, you're right. Like as long as you're doing the best you can at that particular moment in time, with the best information you have, and you're doing it out of love and their best interests, I think that's the best you can ask for, right? Nobody's perfect, and I think you trying to play lacrosse with Maddie is a good example of nobody's perfect. I saw that video that you put up of you wiping out trying to play lacrosse with her in the backyard. I thought that was pretty funny. Just had to mention that. Just throwing
it out. My dad, he can barely use technology. He rewinds it like 5 times, and he's like looking a little chubby here. I'm like, I'm in like this giant V-neck running through the yard, and my dad finds a way to point out that in that I have a gut. I'm like, Jesus. So, but I guess it's all love, Tom. All right, this is not the smartest guys in the room, Tom. Like only you can do. This has been a silly one and a fun one. Take us home, my friend.
Yeah, man, we've been all over the map today and talked about a lot of stuff. But I just want to bring it back to what we talked about, at the very beginning with missed opportunities and building a community. And here's really what I think is super important that everybody focuses on when we approach kind of tackling this issue. And that is that if you want to build a community, yes, you can start reaching out through other people's audiences, right? Like you can reach out to other people's audiences. You can make connections through other people. to bring people into your community, to bring people into your audience from their audience, that 100% works. But none of it will ever work, right? You will never build an audience if you don't build a place for them to gather, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of businesses or brands really miss, is they don't build a home for their audience, right? They don't build that home piece of content, that home platform, that place where their audience goes to because it is comforting, it is familiar, it is engaging, it is something they love, something that their values align with, all of those reasons and many more. If you don't build a place for your community to gather, they just won't. So at the end of the day, the thing you always have to remember is, if you want to build a community, if you want to build an audience, you have to build a place for them to call home. That's all I got for this week. Really appreciate you guys. As always, appreciate you all being here. You are the reason why we do this. You all are the ones that make us not the smartest guys in the room. For Dom, I'm Tom. We thank you so much for being here and being a part of this every week. And we will see you guys next week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and not the smartest guys in the room. Until then, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. We love you. Bye-bye.